Great overview. And again, just to go back to that haze issue and the question that was asked, and there are several other questions that we won't have time to get to all of them, but anybody doing anything to manage any of that haze? Again, we know it's a normal part of the healing process. Mitomycin, steroids, anything else differently than what you've done with PRK or otherwise? How do you?
Well, I think the first thing is that we don't like using the term haze in the normal context of this opacity and demarcation line, because you can see haze variants in cross-linking patients, and you have to kind of distinguish normal from abnormal. So we always want to see the demarcation line with a slight anterior opacity, because that's telling you you've basically had some cross-linking. So we let that run its natural course with a normal steroid taper over a month, and again, but that's very different than an opacity that you might see in a very rare case where somebody perhaps the proper corneal thickness was not maintained through the treatment, and then you can get a posterior haze, which often may not improve. But what's interesting about those patients is they tend to get the most keratometric improvement, and they almost act like an intact in a way, where you get massive flattening that tends to be stable, and these patients actually can do extraordinarily well.
Yeah, I think again it's critical to understand that anterior stromal change is a normal part of the healing process. So we're going to close with just if we can go back to the cases for just a second, and we're going to close with this because we have a hard stop at 8, just because the academy starts at that time, and Bill's just going to share a quick case. I think you have to go through.
So I'm just going to share one really interesting topography case and tomography case. Okay, let's go forward to this one. There we go. Okay, so this is a patient, 26-year-old female. I'll ask my panel, do you guys think this is a normal topography or abnormal topography? You can see the Ayres ratio, this is a placido-disc topography, is quite normal. So is this
abnormal?
What?
This is abnormal.
Okay, so what worries you? Which eye worries you the most between these two eyes?
The right eye. Stephen Kleiss, our great friend, and who's heckling us up here on the front of the podium, taught us about the truncated bow tie. So this is a little-known finding that people really need to understand and pay attention to. And so whenever I see a truncated bow tie like that, I'm always suspicious.
Right, so this is the same case of the Pennicam. Again, the right and left eye. Interestingly enough, the left eye has more astigmatism, but the right eye has this more narrow area, and I'll show you a little bit more highlight. If you look at the PTI, which is this index on the Pennicam called the PTI, which is you see is a little bit more abnormal. Thank you for pointing that out. In the right eye, and the left eye is in the normal range. But again, the right eye is coming out to be a little bit on the borderline there. And then if you do the Berlin-Ambrosio scale, it also comes out to be abnormal with the yellow. The D number is yellow, which means it's on the borderline as well. So the right eye is actually, of these two eyes, actually the more suspicious of the two eyes. And it's this condition, as George pointed out, called the truncated bow tie. Again, it's the same patient. You can see that it's just a central area of steepening. And then this is a different patient, but it's more advanced. So this is more advanced, again, this truncated bow tie. We get a very steep cornea. So it's important to kind of recognize this. And what's interesting in this case was that the PTI was abnormal. The Berlin-Ambrosio scale was also abnormal in the right eye, even though on topography it looked relatively normal. And this is just the difference between a normal standard bow tie versus truncated or blunted bow tie in the left. So I just want to share this this case real quickly because we're running out of time, but I thought it was a nice highlight of the system.
Bill, what was the BADD? The BADD's a little high. What was the PRC? The Bellin ABCDB value?
I don't remember what that was. Yeah. Good question.
Thank you, Bill. So again, thank you all and the whole Oculus and Vidro teams. And I think I would just close with a quick comment or summary. And I think we all, certainly on the panel, agree that with these advanced diagnostics, we now certainly have the ability to treat patients as early as possible. And as you heard, the ability to treat with cross-linking at the earliest stage is really what helps our patients the most. So really this combination is assisting us and helping patients ultimately tremendously. So again, thank you very much.